What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we're going to be overclocking the KS0 Pro. So I've been waiting on a new power supply to come in. That is this guy right here. It is 180 watts. It is recommended to have at least 180 watt power supply, a laptop charger from MSI. This one is a Rogue Strix one, I believe. Some cheap thing from China. Hopefully it doesn't melt and burn down my house, but we'll see what happens in the future. So right now I got some baselines going. So I am using fans at 100%, about 101 watts or so. So I'm going to go into the overclocking software here, and I'm going to show you how to get this done. You do have to get this from T-Swift. It is paid overclocking firmware, and it is tied to your MAC address of each individual miner. So if you have multiple, you cannot just purchase one and use it on them all. It will not work. You will have to order one for each specific miner. So there are multiple versions of this firmware available depending on your miner. The best one might not work, so I'll go through all that stuff here with you. And if you do plan on picking up any ASIC miners or this firmware in general from T-Swift, make sure you do say that Rabid sent you. So let's do some profitability after we see which version does work for mine and see if it's even worth it in the first place. All right, so here we are within my miner, and we got accepted shares. We have 199 gigahash currently. It does hit about 201. My temperatures are at 54C and 41C, and my fan is cranked up to 100%. As we can see, we're over 6,000 RPM. That is recommended here. They run fairly warm, so you are going to want to run at 100% fans, especially after you install some overclocking firmware. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to run through the README right quick. So you can see there's multiple files here. So there's a 260 gigahash overclock, a 270, a 280, and two file types for each, as well as an init. So we're going to run through this. It's pretty easy and basic to get this set up, but we're going to go through the instructions just in case you guys are kind of curious here. So step number one, you're going to want to restore the miner to factory settings. In order to do that, just simply hit the reset button. You can also do it in the software right here, but we're going to hit that reset button on the miner itself. Then we're going to go to upload the init file. We saw that at the bottom, so we're going to reset our miner, upload the init file, and then we're going to select our overclocking firmware once it resets from that. And then here you can see apply your pool settings and set it up like you normally would. So here's the different versions. So at first, always try the L version, and if that doesn't seem to work for you, you know you're not getting any hash rate, or it's less hash rate, hardly any hash rate at all, or it's rebooting, resetting, you're having some type of issue there, then get rid of the L version and try the G version. Now, in order to do the next version, you're going to want to repeat all the previous steps again. So reset your miner, reboot it, install the init file, and then reboot it, and then try the next version, and keep continuing the process until you do have an overclocking firmware that is stable on your machine, or you never know, maybe none of them will be stable. It all comes down to Silicon Lottery, so let's kind of see how this turns out. Now, the third thing here is obviously when using this firmware, make sure your power supply is 180 watts or greater, and an external fan is installed blowing air towards the heatsink. So that means not sucking it out, but actually blowing it towards it. And AC powered fans are much more effective than USB fans. So that's kind of the steps we got to go through here. We're going to try these overclock settings, obviously starting with the best one, and see if my machine will take it or not. But let's see what happens. Okay, so step number one here is reset your miner. So that's simply hold this button down for 10 to 15 seconds until you see these flash. So let's go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, we can see it took about 21 seconds. Once they start flashing, you can let go. Your miner is now being defaulted to factory settings. You won't have any of your pool info or anything in there. So next up, we're going to get to the dashboard. Once we do see it come back online, we're going to install that init file. Okay, so our miner just booted back up again. You can see 13 seconds in, and all the default addresses and mining pools that when you first purchased the miner are back in here. So now we're going to go into firmware upgrade. I'm going to select the file, and I'm just going to go to my downloads here, go into here and install this init. So we're going to open up this. and then hit the update button. So now it's going to ask us to reboot our machine. If it doesn't, then you must reboot it manually. Make sure you do reboot it every time you do install something here. So we're just going to wait a few seconds and see if it's actually going to ask us, but most of the time it does. But keep in mind, sometimes it will not ask you to reboot your machine. Make sure you do that manually. So operation succeeded. Hit OK, confirm restarting the machine. OK, so now it's going to reboot again. Once it boots up this time, we're going to put in the overclocking firmware and then reboot it one more time. All right, so we are now booted up after installing that init file. So we're going to go to firmware upgrade again. We're going to select our file, and now we're going to put in the biggest one here, the 280 gigahash L version. So make sure you use the L version. And if I have some instabilities or it's not working, I'm only at 205 gigahash or something like that, or stock, then I'm going to try just the G version. But right now we're starting with the highest one. I'm going to open that file. We're going to upload that, wait for it to do its thing, and again we are going to have to reboot this miner, and it should ask us to do it. But if it doesn't, make sure you manually reboot it. So we're going to wait a few seconds here and see what it says. All right, operation succeeded. We're going to hit the OK button. It is asking to restart the miner. OK. So now we are rebooting the miner one last time. Once it does reboot, we will put in our pool parameters and see how this thing hashes. Okay, so we are now booted up again. We can see T-Swift's Discord and Telegram information is in the top left corner. So now I want to set all my pool parameters. Now you don't have to set your pool parameters yet. You can let it run off the default stuff and mine to ICERIVER if you really want, just for the testing purposes here to see what kind of hash rates you get. But it is recommended to go into your mining settings now. Make sure you set your fans up to 100% right off the get-go, because it is 0 there. So we're going to save that before we even start so we don't overheat anything. And then we're going to adjust our pool parameters. That way I can start mining in case this does take off right at the get-go. So I am using hero miners right off the start here because I am tracking this one miner to ROI to see how long it may take. So I'm just going to put that in, 1207. I believe that's the correct one. Yes, 1207 is the KS0 Pro port. And down below you can see yours truly here has a how to mine Kaspa video on the pool if you have not yet seen it or curious about how to mine Kaspa in the first place. So I got that all put in here. Just make sure everything is right because I doubled it up possibly and it might have everything in there. So it's looking correctly. So I just want to get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. And then I got to adjust my Kaspa address as well. All right, put my address in there. Oh, I need a worker name. Can't forget about that. So I'm simply going to put a period, KS0 Pro, and then we're going to save this. And now wait till we get some hash rate here. Go back into our home here and see if this overclocking is taking for mine. Okay, so I am about 8 minutes in and it looks like we're doing about 265 gigahash. So we are overclocked. It is working, but we're not at the 280. So I'm going to try the other version now of the 280. So the non-L, we're going to use the 280G here and see if that can get any better performance than the L version. So we're going to go through the next step. I'm kind of glad we're not getting max hash rate right off the get-go, because now we can move to the next step to kind of show you what you should do at this point if you're discovering something like this, or even less hash rate, or it's not working at all or something like that. So next thing we got to do now is actually reset our miner again. Okay, so I wanted to come up and actually show you my power, but it looks like it just quit mining. So this version is definitely unstable for me, but it was around 152 watts. So it looks like it's probably rebooting and stuff right now. So now we're just going to move on to the next step and try the non-L. We're going to use the G. So we're going to have to click the button again and reset our miner and repeat everything we did the very first time. But in the end, after the init file, we're just going to put in different overclocking profiles. So here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and there we go. Let go as soon as you start seeing those flashes. Wait for it to reboot and we'll put in that init file again. All right, so as you can see now, T-Swift did disappear on us here, and we are back to all our default factory settings. So now we're going to go back into firmware upgrade. We're going to select the file here. We're going to put the init KS0 Pro update back in. So we're going to open this, update this, wait for it to do its thing, and then reboot our miner just like before. You know, I want to go through the steps so that you guys don't mess anything up. It should ask you to reboot your miner, and if it doesn't, just manually reboot it by looking in the bottom right corner. So make sure you do reboot it though after you upload something every single time. And now operation succeeded. Hit OK. Confirm restarting. Yes. So we're going to restart this miner, and then when it updates the next time and comes online, we're going to try the other overclocking profile. All right, so we are back. We are now going to go to firmware upgrade, select file, and then choose the non-L. We're going to go with the G version right here. So now I'm going to open this. We're going to update that, and now wait for it to do its thing, and then again reboot our miner once it's finished upgrading. Operation succeeded. Hit OK. It's asking to restart, so there we go. OK. It's been asking me every time, but there is the odd time where it doesn't ask you to reboot. So again, make sure you restart it after you upload something every single time. All right, so here we are. T-Swift is back with all his contact information. Make sure you say Rabid sent you guys. And then we got all the default ICERIVER stuff happening here. So I'm going to go back in here and adjust everything to my pool yet again. You don't have to. You can probably be easier just for testing purposes just to use the default ICERIVER stuff, but then you are giving them their own free Kaspa. But it's all up to you. Now we're just going to get rid of these, get rid of these, get rid of these, and now find my Kaspa address. I don't even know which one it is. I think it's this one. It should be in here by default, but I've had so many Kaspa addresses, I'm hoping that's right. So Rabid KS0, so KS0 Pro. I think that looks like the proper one. So we're just going to go like that. I'm going to remove all the passwords here. Save that. And again, make sure you do click the button here and go 100% fans. If you don't click the button, it's not going to work. So save that, and now you'll be at 100% fans again. We'll go back into home and wait it out and see how much hash rate we're going to get. You can always double check on your fans by looking at the RPM. All right, so it's looking like this version is giving me the 266 gigahash as well. Our temps, our fans are checked in at maximum. They're at a little over 6,000 RPM, and it looks like our temp is around 73 degrees Celsius. So we're warming up a little bit. ICERIVER does recommend 65 to 70 degrees for optimal performance. So we're close to that range, but we are slightly getting warmer. I'm going to do a quick refresh here and see. So it's still at 73 here, but we are not bypassing past 266. So now I'm going to try 270 gigahash, and if it's the same thing, I'm going to step it down to 260 gigahash. And each step down, we should be using a bit less power. Now, just for confirmation, you can see that we are using 152 watts. So this is why that 180 watt power supply is recommended. You will want at least 180 watts because right now we are 152. So I'm going to step it down to the 170 gigahash version and see if we lose a little bit of power there. In theory, we should, because the clocks and power voltage settings should be a bit lower. Okay, so I went through all the different overclocks and came down to what works best with my miner, which I have in green there. It's the lowest overclock, the 260 gigahash version. But let's kind of start at the top here. 280 gigahash is going to give you about, well, at least for me, it should give you about 280 if you have great silicon. For me, it only gave me 266 gigahash. It was using 152 watts. It's a gigahash per watt ratio of 1.75. Based on that, at the current network conditions right now, that is giving you about $3.78 if you had free power. Me at 12-cent power, that's $3.35, and you're getting about 32 coins per day. With that, we got the 270. You can pause this, go through the numbers. For myself, I reverted to, I'm probably going to use the 260 gigahash version. We did get 250 gigahash. It's only using about 140.5 watts. I didn't keep track of the temperatures. I probably should have, but obviously as we go down these overclocks, I don't have to worry. I'm averaging about 70 degrees there. I don't have to put any external type of fan and, I use a little bit more power and stuff there. We're getting to the point in Kaspa where overclocking might not be 100% the best thing. We're still getting the best yields, and it is a bit more profitable doing it. But as the block rewards continue to start dropping and the network hash rate continues to increase, we are going to have to start looking more towards the efficiency side of things and take it from there. Regardless, if you have cheap power, it doesn't matter for you. Another way to look at it is, what if Kaspa does hit $1 or something in the bull run? Then in theory, this could still be making over $2 more than the worst overclock here, or $1 over the mid-range, and so on. So those are other things to take into consideration when thinking about the future, possible future pumps of Kaspa, what the price could hit, and so on. But myself, I think I'm going to do the 260 gigahash here at 250 gigahash is what I was getting at 140.5 watts, as well as keeping the temperatures a little bit cooler and not having to use any extra power with any type of external cooling and fans. All right, guys, so there we have it. I am on the 260 gigahash OC setting. No fan or nothing. We're all good. Also, another thing I want to point out, guys, these are designed to be sitting this way. Make sure you run them like this. Don't tip them on their side, because there is no exhaust holes in the sides or anything. You can see down the middle here, it has holes. The air radiates up, you know, hot air rises. Let it do its thing and not have it that way. It will remain cooler this way as well. And it's also got a built-in fan here if you want. But, you know, I see some people in Discord there, they have theirs propped up on the side. I wouldn't recommend that, because now you're kind of trapping hot air inside of it, and you could run into have to use extra fans and extra power and all sorts of other things. So just leave them like this. It's good to go. It's the way it's designed anyway. It has feet at the bottom. It's pretty easy to tell which is the bottom, which is the top, and it's just the way the thing was made. So it does look like I'm actually up a half a watt from my spreadsheet here. I'm at 141.3 on this from 140.5. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and maybe do an update in the future, see if anything changes there. I always do find that after about 2 or 3 hours, our power is up on any miner that you do use. Regardless, guys, all the information will be in the description if you want to get this overclock setting for yourself. And remember, be sure to say Rabid sent you. I will see you on the next one. KS0 Pro is OC'd.